Hello, I'm Alison Anderson. I'm a previous lecturer at CQ University, and I developed and wrote most of the contents of this unit, Tourism as a Strategy for Development. Your unit coordinator, Bruce Prideaux, has asked me to run through this outline for you. So I'm just doing a quick lecture, well, it's not even a lecture, just an outline of all of the information that's probably most important for you to understand when you go through this unit. I'll just present so you can see. Okay, so this is, this is an image that I took when I was on holiday in Bali. This is at Jimbaran Beach at the very southern end. It's pretty cool. It's a really classic example of how, well, Bali in itself is a classic example of how tourism has been used as a strategy for development. And you can see we've got, this really magnificent swimming pool right on the edge of the beach, which is something that would never be allowed to happen, I don't think, in Australia with the current planning laws. But it's just an interesting contrast between what you could achieve in Bali and here. And so when you're using tourism as a strategy for development, sometimes that certain countries that are perhaps a little less developed are looking for ways of distinguishing themselves from their competition. And one of the ways is that they approve really quite magnificent architecture at times that might be not quite environmentally responsible or potentially even 100% as safe as it could be. With this, obviously, you've got erosion and things working away at the bottom of a swimming pool, and that possibly won't last the distance. But these are the sort of things that you can achieve in potentially in a developing nation that you might not achieve in a developed nation such as Australia, the UK, US, and so forth. Anyway, we'll talk more about development in the first lecture. So I'll just go through this with you. So I've written this for Bruce, about me. I'm not Bruce, but Bruce is a professor of tourism at CQ University. He's based in Cairns. He runs the tourism program, so the Master of Sustainable Tourism Management, and also the undergraduate minors that hopefully will be coming along soon. His contact details are b.prideaux@cq.edu.au. You feel free to contact Bruce. He's pretty busy, but he needs to hear from you to make sure that you're touching base on any issues or problems you have. If you have any concerns about your ability to meet deadlines with assessment in particular, it's absolutely imperative that you speak to Bruce at the first available opportunity, because at that point he can start talking to you about management plans to enable you to get your work done either on time or to accept work late. But if you hit Bruce up the day before something's due, or you just deliver something late and then ask for an extension, I don't like your chances of actually getting one. So you need to make sure that you're organised. You have a look at the assessment nice and early. You work out how much time you're going to need to actually get it done. If you think you're going to have a problem, you need to figure that out nice and early. Okay, I'll talk more about assessment in a minute, but they're probably the key points. Communication, especially when you're doing this by distance, communication is what this is all about. You need to make sure that you're engaged with Bruce and letting him know how you're going. If you don't understand things that I'm saying, I've put my email address at the start of some of the lectures that I've delivered, so you're more than welcome to contact me, or you can, my email will stop working. I think I finish with CQ on the 4th of August, and then after that you'll need to talk to Bruce. All right, okay, so the unit structure. Okay, so this is this unit's delivered both face-to-face and by distance. Me talking to you, if I'm talking to you right now, you're probably a distance student, so welcome. I'll just quickly run through the face-to-face delivery. It's on the Cairns campus. It's delivered Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, over 2 weekends essentially. And before a lecture, and this is for both distance and for face-to-face, you need to bring your readings and any notes that you've made on your readings to share. It's really valuable to do the readings. This unit in particular requires you to write an academic reflective essay at the end. By academic, what we mean is that you need to have a minimum number of references. It's very important that you have those references. They're academic references, so they're from a journal or book, preferably at least some from journals. If you don't understand what that means, then you probably need to get in touch with us so we can have a conversation. I understand that Bruce is actually developing, he's doing a Zoom meeting for you next week, so that would be a good opportunity to start thinking about that. To ask him about those questions. You probably, look, I've listed a lot of readings in here. You probably don't need to read them all, but at least read 2. You've got a textbook, read it. Read the chapters that we're talking about, because this draws a lot from, this unit draws a lot from that information. What you're going to have to do in your reflective essay, and I'll talk about that in a minute, what we're going to have to do with that is actually consider what other people are saying about development and tourism as a strategy for development, and then apply your own reflection and thought onto that, and analyse that and show evidence of analysis. So it's pretty valuable for you to actually read the readings as you go and make some notes, because that will make your assessment much easier. So this is delivered over weeks 7 and 9 in the face-to-face format, but your assessment is all due at around the same time. For those distance students, we've got assessment presentations on Sunday morning of week 9. Hopefully you'll be able to plug in via distance and all do that at the same time with the face-to-face and the distance students. So all of you coming together at the same time on that Sunday morning. That's Sunday of week 9. I can't tell you exactly what date that is, but have a look at it in the academic calendar. Okay, week 10, the terms of reference group assessment is due. This is a group assessment. We are required to try and give you some group assessment work to do. I know that most people don't like it. It's difficult to collaborate with people, especially when you're via distance. And I'd encourage you to talk to Bruce about the dynamics of that. Potentially he may develop that as an individual assessment for you, and give you some guidelines on how to minimise it a little to make it more manageable. But obviously, if we can get a group assessment where you can collaborate across between one another through email or video link up, that would be ideal. So Bruce will oversee how you decide to go ahead with that. And then on Friday of week 11, the reflective analysis is due. So there's 12 weeks, I think, in the semester usually. So you really don't have a huge amount of leeway in terms of extensions. We have to get the work and mark it and get it back to you within a set time towards the end of the semester to allow for certification of grades. So you need to make sure that you're actually planning so we are able to deliver you your grades within a timely fashion. Okay, the learning outcomes. Right, so what we expect that you should be able to do by the end of this unit, we expect that you could analyse and critique a range of sustainable development theories. Okay, we'll be introducing some sustainable development theories and ideas about sustainable development to you right up front in the first lecture with a few readings to think about. So you should be able to do that quite quickly and then apply that thinking throughout this unit. 2, to critically examine the role of tourism in sustainable development. That goes without saying. So this is about us thinking about the role of tourism, what tourism does for sustainable development. Does it actually help achieve sustainable development, or does it actually, is it an oxymoron to think about sustainable development? Can we even have sustainable development? 3, evaluate tourism development strategies in the, sorry about my typo in there, in context of sustainable development theory and practice. If you start thinking about tourism development strategies and what works and what doesn't, we'll be talking about throughout the lectures. So our lectures are actually designed to answer these learning outcomes. And the assessment is us showing that you can do these things. So it's really important to refer back to these when you're thinking about what you need to show that you know. Really, it's really important in this unit that you learn how to think critically, that you think about your position in the world and how that applies to your thinking about whether tourism can actually achieve sustainable development or not. because people's perceptions from where they sit, what their cultural background is, whether their needs are being met in the immediate term and so forth, can influence quite heavily how they perceive what development is and what it's trying to achieve. Okay, assess the challenges for the tourism industry in achieving and managing sustainable development across a range of contexts. So we'll be seeing in your presentations your thoughts on how sustainable development through using tourism can be achieved, and this is where we'll be thinking about whether you've met these learning outcomes or not. So we're really encouraging you to think in this unit. Okay, so your assessment, right, you have 3 pieces of assessment for this unit, although the third one sort of is a blend of 2. Okay, so the first piece of assessment is a written assessment that's worth 30%, and it's a group work. You need to develop the terms of reference for a sustainable tourism development plan for a location of your choice. We've got a briefing sheet which is available on Moodle, and I'll show you through the Moodle site in a minute. And that should show you that should sort of talk you through in more detail what it is you actually need to do. So we're not asking you to do a sustainable tourism development plan because it's just too big and too complex. So what we've actually decided to do is ask you to develop the terms of reference. So you are like an organisation that wants perhaps a consultancy to go out and write the sustainable tourism development plan for you, and what you need to do is actually identify the terms of reference for that consultancy. So you need to tell them what you need to show what needs to be included in a sustainable tourism development plan, what the steps of a sustainable tourism development plan are, and make suggestions on things like how you consult with key stakeholders and prioritising the involvement of those key stakeholders, and think about both the 3 sort of key aspects of sustainability. So obviously the triple bottom line idea through environment, economy, and social or people. Yeah. So I would like it if you could be in groups of 3 to write this group assessment, but given the limited numbers in this unit, that might not be possible. If you go into groups of 3 for this, then one person can take the environmental stuff, one can take the economic, and one can take the social stuff. And then you can come together to write the front and back end of it. Look, you're going to need to discuss this with Bruce in terms of how you're actually going to be able to deliver this, given that it's group assessment. We've got some distance and some face-to-face. Okay, the presentation. So this is on Sunday of week 9, as I mentioned. It's worth 30%. You need to share with the class your theories on the challenges for the tourism industry in achieving and managing sustainability. Okay, identify which current theories this supports or challenges. Okay, so you're very welcome to have your own thoughts. We want you to have your own thoughts. We want to encourage you to think. This is a master's level unit. This is about learning how to think, not just answer questions, but to think about things. And that's, one of the most important aspects of postgraduate studies is to be thinking about things. Okay, so we need you to do a 15-minute PowerPoint or similar, so it could be Prezi like I'm using or some other kind of medium to show your reading and your thinking, that you understand how people are thinking in the world about these things. You need to have references. So you understand how people think about these things, and you need to then say what your thoughts are. And then the third assessment is practical reflection and reflective academic essay. So I built in practical reflection into this because I wanted to be able to mark you on some of the conversations that we have, so be it face-to-face or over the Zoom meetings that Bruce will be organising for the Flex students, or distance students, sorry. And so we want to see that you're participating in actual reflection and consideration of these. So you're actually participating in conversation about the issues. And that will help you with your academic essay, which is so that here, drawing in an established theory of sustainable development, critically discuss the process of planning for sustainable tourism within the established way of thinking about sustainable tourism management that you discussed above. Okay, so practical, individually reflect on how the Sustainable Tourism Development Plan in Assessment 1 addresses established ways of thinking about sustainable tourism management, such as the UNWTO's 5 pillars of sustainable tourism. So you don't have to use the UNWTO's 5 pillars of sustainable tourism, but that's one. I'll introduce a few to you, and you can have a little bit of a think about what you would like to discuss in that context. So the deliverable is a reflective and critical report on the Sustainable Tourism Development Plan. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the more you participate in this, the more you read, the more you discuss with people, the better your thoughts are going to develop, and the easier you're going to find this assessment. Okay, all right, so here we go. So in terms of the face-to-face delivery, this is how it looks. Otherwise, you can just do it week 1, week 2. So we're in week 1 at the moment. So in week 1 or day 1, it's the unit overview and a lecture, what is sustainable development? And then so on and so forth. So it goes through each week. This has obviously in day 3, that's a long day for the face-to-face. So that's not just 1 week, that's about 3 weeks there. So we don't just have 8 weeks worth of lectures, just some of these have doubled up. Okay, so we've got agents, so we'll be talking first about what is sustainable development, then looking at measures of development, how people go about measuring what development is and thinking about what development is. We'll look at agencies and communities who is actually responsible for this development and how does it work in reality. Then we'll look specifically at tourism as a strategy for development. And then I'll introduce the concept of sustainable tourism development plans. And that obviously is really important for you because you need to write the terms of reference for one. So that'll talk about what the key inclusions should be in a sustainable tourism development plan, and maybe talks a fair bit about consulting with communities and so forth. So informing, engaging communities and that sort of thing, and how you do that, and that will be also quite valuable for your assessment. Then we'll have, oh geez, I haven't put a space in there. I'm doing well with my typos today, sorry about that. So case studies of sustainable tourism development is a student-led lecture. This is not something to be stressed about. You're not assessed on it as such. It might form part of the practical assessment when we're looking at how you engage with things, but it's not meant to be stressful. It's meant to be more of a relaxed opportunity for people to talk about where they have visited or where they're from, or areas that are of interest to them. So looking at what works sustainably and what doesn't. So I visited Bali. I've used a picture to show you, and I've got some ideas and thoughts on whether Bali is sustainable or not, which I'll talk about in future lectures. I reckon that this lecture is really designed for you to come together and share your experiences of places you've been and think about what elements of sustainability are evident in those places and what elements of sustainability aren't, and what's your prognosis for that place. So it's not formal, it's not supposed to be scary, it's really a facilitated discussion on what we think is a good idea and what, where good ideas come from for sustainability, and so forth, what's working, what's not. And then also, if you're doing face-to-face and you're watching this, that in that day 4 is also an opportunity there to give some time to gather together for your group work, so you don't have to try and find all the time outside of the allocated time for this. So that will give you an opportunity to establish your connections with everybody and start thinking about your plan of attack for your assessment. Then we'll start talking about sustainable tourism and government policy, assessing tourism development for sustainability, so things like environmental impact assessments, probably a big one in there. Challenges for tourism and sustainable development, so just starting to think about, challenges, issues, problems that people are facing, and the real key issues that are actually quite hard to overcome. And then looking to the future, where are we headed? Then there'll be a recap of the unit, and at that point we'll have the presentation assessments. Okay, all right, so at this point I usually ask questions. As I say, Bruce has a Zoom meeting on Monday at 6 p.m. On week 2 next week. So if you want to have a look at that, you want to plug into that as a distance student, there'll be opportunity to ask some questions, or you can feel free to email. Okay, so now at the bottom here I've said information available on Moodle. So what I'm going to do, you're going to be exposed to my messy desktop, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to open up the Moodle site to show you through. Okay, so this is the Moodle site. It's really important that you understand this site, that you use it. It's got lots and lots of resources. I've put Bruce's picture on there, so he's your unit coordinator, so now you know what he looks like. You'll see him on screen at some point anyway, and that's his email address. Okay. If you just flick through, I'll just give you a quick look. Okay, so this just gives you the sort of overview information, and of course, I'm not 100% sure why, but usually in this side, it will give you the opportunity to. Oh, here we go. We can go here to the unit profile. Usually down the left-hand side. So this is the unit profile. This is the official information for the unit. So the Moodle site gives you the sort of easy to follow and sort of resources and things you can download. This is the official information. So this will give you the exact wording of all your assessment tasks, which plugs into Moodle anyway. But that's, any sort of your referencing style. So that's where you can actually click on to get your details for the APA style, which is our style of referencing. The information on the textbook is there too, the Mo Forth and Munt textbook. So you can purchase that or borrow it from the library, I think. Only an e-copy. I'm not sure. There's only a few copies available, I think. You need to look at the library and have a look at that anyway. So that's that there, the unit textbook. Okay, so assessment policy and procedures. If you're wondering how we're going about assessing things, that's our guiding document for that. Academic misconduct. Plagiarism is totally unacceptable in this unit. We want the work that you submit to be all your own. So copying off somebody, asking somebody to do work for you and putting it in under your name is not tolerated. And if we can see evidence of that, then we will use this academic misconduct policy to dictate how we proceed. There's the APA referencing cheat sheet as well. We do expect referencing. We expect it to be done properly. It's an easy thing to do, and you lose marks if you don't do it. So seriously, if you want marks, just reference properly and reference enough. Okay? That means that if the paper makes an argument that sustainable tourism development is a complete furphy and no good, you write and Mo Forth and Munt say that sustainable tourism development is no good. Mo Forth and Munt bracket 2014 bracket, or whatever that, 2015 bracket, say that sustainable tourism development is the furphy. Then in the reference list at the bottom, references Mo Forth and Munt, and that's the reference there. Don't put things in your reference list that you haven't directly referenced in your text. And when you're writing, when you're drawing pictures, including pictures or including tables or any kind of model illustration of any type, you need to name it. Figure 1, Table 1, Graph 1, whatever, and write in the text as shown in Table 1, as shown in Graph 1. This isn't this. You have to refer to it in text, okay? Otherwise, we won't be up to market. Okay, so there's a news forum there. That's where we put information throughout the term. I'm not 100% sure how Bruce actually sends his information to students. So I usually put news in the news forum. He may just send you a direct email because there's only a few of you. Okay. like I say, usually down this left-hand side, there's a whole bunch of information that gives you, if you just pardon me for a second, I'll just see, I'm not 100% sure why that's not doing what it's supposed to do. So I'll just let it do that, and then we'll go back in and we'll just see if the, right, there's the information. That looks a lot more like normal, okay? So down here we have the unit profile, contacts, news forum and so forth. Assessment, so you can click on those to go directly to the assessment. So here, click on that and you'll go to assessment 1. That's, I can view the submissions, you can't, but that's the briefing notes. So if you click on that, there we go, they're the briefing notes. Group work, when it's due, the learning outcomes it's designed to achieve, background, your task, deliverables, formatting guidelines. Please read these because we don't write them for fun. We actually do write them because that's what we want you to do. And this is how we mark. Yep, so this is an example of some references down the bottom. These are the resources I used to when I was talking about the material for this. And that's where I've referenced them down there. Here, this is what we do. Okay, we give you 8 marks. I hope that adds up to 30. I think it does. Okay, so evidence of critical thought about what elements should be considered in the plan. Okay, so we want to see that you've been thinking. And we give you 8 marks for that. So you can see, you can write use of appropriate academic references. 2 easy marks if you just use references and do it properly. Okay, so we've got one of these for each one of the assessments. Okay, so that's assessment 1. This might look a little bit different in yours because you're a student and I'm a teacher. Here we go, assessment 2. This is presentation. It doesn't have a supporting document, although I think it does, and I might need to just add it in, so sorry about that. And then there's the one with the briefing notes. This is assessment 3. So you can see, you can just click on those to get to there. Then if you want to go back to 223, you just click on up the top there. All right, so this is the unit. This is how it looks. So assessment, that's, you know, the same information that was up there. It's just given to you in a different way. Unit overview, this is where we are right now. Hopefully you clicked on this to find me right now, and familiarise yourself with the textbook. There you go, that's what's asking you to do this for this lecture. What is sustainable development? Okay, so there's 2 lectures in there. You can download Prezi, so that just gives you a link. I don't think you downloaded, I think you link to it. The first 4 lectures in this unit are actually in Prezi and the rest are done in PowerPoint. Don't ask why, it's a long story. Okay, this is me. I've recorded these lectures for you to have a look at, and they're on YouTube, so you can actually, this will link you through to a YouTube channel so you can watch those. And there's your readings. So you can click on one of these readings, say Redcliffe, comes up. For me, I just click on it and it downloads. Yours might be different, but in the end it gives you the opportunity, and this is some readings for you. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, I thought I had my phone switched off. Okay, so this is, yeah, that's your reading there. Right, okay. I think, so this shows you each reading. I've given you a link. Right, these are the resources at the end. If you're having any trouble downloading these, what this does is actually just links you through to that, and that's where you actually download them. So either way, just click on the resource, click on anything blue and you'll get the information, pretty much. Okay, so that's for each lecture. We've got one of those. And I think that's probably about all you need to know. Yeah, like I say, this might look a little different, but essentially this is the information that you'll need. So, like I say, if you've got any further questions, let me know. But otherwise, best wishes for the unit. I hope it goes well for you. And like I say, feel free to contact me in the first half of the unit if you've got any specific questions to what I'm talking about. Otherwise, catch up with Bruce. All right, thank you.